Put a timer on there, but I think I hit the button down. Hey folks, what's going on? Me again. I made a little comment last time, but I'm gonna make another one. I commented the last broadcast regarding the Arkansas abortion clinic, and just a recap for those who didn't see this. I'm also putting this on video as I do some errands. Actually, I'm done with my errands, heading back home. Y'all like, share, and comment on this. Also, feel free to donate on Fundly account. There should be a Arkansas events. You can go there to donate or share that link with others. I do have a non-political job, but it doesn't quite pay enough for what I need to do. So folks, Donald Trump has a daily press conference, and I've sometimes put my comments in there on the page that I went to Breitbart. Facebook has regular updates regarding Trump's press conference. If you go there and select to be notified, you'll be let know whenever they go live. Same thing with me. Push that notification button, and you may have to push it several times, because Facebook has had a nasty habit of shadow banning other folks for whatever reason. I'm just in a parking lot right now. Hey Caroline, hey Dwayne. I have a YouTube page called Keep Arkansas Legal. YouTube page the same. I have video up there of our battle with the abortion clinic, where we forced the governor and the Arkansas Department of Health to actually do what they should have done 2 weeks ago, which is shut down, well, the abortion clinic there regarding the pandemic. Of course, honestly, they should shut down the abortion clinic regardless, but and by the way, if folks are wondering, it is the law of the land to shut down these abortion clinics. The state of Texas, the Planned Parenthood there, already sued. However, it went to federal appellate court, and the appellate court ruled in favor of Texas being able to shut down their abortion clinics. But Trump had his press conference where he was peppered with a bunch of questions. He literally had to shut one guy up, and I don't know who it was, because it only showed his image when he was speaking at the time. But there was one guy that was literally trying to shout down another reporter as they was asking a question. Trump actually threatened to leave because a guy wouldn't shut up. I don't know who the guy is. I wish Trump had named him. That is one thing I wish Trump would do a little more of, is give specific names of some more companies and like government officials, both here and abroad, like in China, who have responsible for this outbreak. The People's Republic of China has once again given us another pandemic. They are our enemy. I know Trump is having to work with them on certain things, but let's just be honest. They've been at war with us for decades. They've been our enemy for decades. And at some point, we just need to stop, and we need to start kicking Chinese government officials out of this country. We need to start kicking people, politicians, and corrupt businesses and other folks who have been working with the People's Republic. I don't know. I watched off of Breitbart Live, so the MSM, mainstream media cameras there, they may not have been there. And of course, they're all separated as opposed to being together as they usually are, so they are practicing social distancing. But Trump is having to pick out questions from folks. He's given his statement. He often has to repeat himself, because oftentimes the press tries to ask the same question repeatedly because they want to try to dig in some point. There's some kind of thing they want to nail Trump on, or harp about, complain about, focus on, and not give any credit to to a lot of good that we've done. The USA has done a lot of good in comparison to other countries, in large part because of Trump's leadership, in particular shutting down trade with China. The only thing I can fault Trump on is that he didn't do it sooner, long before the coronavirus. And keep in mind, Trump is not a king. He is being hamstrung by the Democrat Party as well as a large part of the Republican Party, particularly the leadership. The Republican Party deliberately, the Republican Party on a national level deliberately lost the House in 2018 in order to put more pressure on Trump and allow Democrats more power to hamstring him. We had, I forget how many Republican congressmen decide to suddenly retire, even though they didn't need to. I think they wasted $50 million on the Alabama Senate primary. And I think the Republican leadership is going to try to lose the election again in November, at least for the House, because they don't like Donald Trump. I'm talking about the Mitt Romneys, the Bushes, the Rick Wilsons. Rick Wilson's a cowardly fake Republican strategist on CNN who likes to laugh and joke about Trump supporters. He's a piece of crap, Karl Rove wannabe, lying bastard who helps keep the deep state in power. He's a so-called political strategist. Of course, he and others are proven wrong in the 2020 election and the 2016 election. They'll be proven wrong again, but there's still a lot of problems that Trump has to deal with. So a lot of people have to keep that in context, that the deep state still has this nation in a huge hostage crisis is what they're doing. They're basically a bunch of hostages and people don't see it. People don't understand that. Why doesn't Trump just, I wish he had fired all the deep state from day one. A lot of these people that, should be in jail for starting and losing the war on drugs, starting and losing the Vietnam War, starting and losing the war on poverty, and then, of course, using it as an excuse to get more government power. And so, hey, Justin, hey, Rick. And so I'm both live streaming and filming this. When we get ready to deal with this virus, I think eventually we will be able to overcome it, especially in red states. I think a lot of red states are going to be able, states where they have governors that did practice common sense stuff, both shutting down things that need to be shut down without shutting down the entire state completely. Especially states that have curbed their illegal immigration, because that does help, whether people admit it or not. Illegal aliens were bringing in lots of outbreaks, particularly tuberculosis and typhoid, long before this coronavirus, which is also the fault of the same people, the deep state folks that want more so-called free trade and want globalism and want more quote-unquote diversity. Yeah, this is mainly the fault of, again, Democrats and some Republicans who thought it was great to encourage trade with a communist regime that's murdered millions of its people. So they are forcing people to vote by mail in the Ohio primaries. Yeah, and that's another thing is Trump is pointing out that there's still a lot of politics involved in this. And of course, the media always try to portray the Democrats as never doing anything political, and that only Republicans make political decisions when when there's a crisis going on. But in reality, it's the other way around. Trump could have easily cut off aid to blue states if he wanted to. Could have done a lot more, use the military if need be to shut down certain facilities, really cripple economies if he wanted to. I don't know, to be honest with you, he may have to do something like that to particularly places like New York, San Francisco, which, by the way, was already a disease-ridden place long before coronavirus, with poop and needles, thanks in large part to illegal immigration. But yeah, this vote by mail thing that the Democrats are demanding that we all be forced to do, that is going to lead to more fraud, more acts of sabotage. There's multiple ways to commit voter fraud. One is to pretending to be someone else and filling out separate ballots and sending them by mail. The other way is to be someone who intercepts the votes of other people and then destroys them, burns them, or hides them, or in some way changes them. We have seen this a lot, mainly from Democrat operatives within the voting industry. Acorn, I think, was one of the fraudulent vote organizations that was good at this, and after they were exposed, they weren't completely dismantled, they were just renamed. Other groups that did this sort of thing have been linked to George Soros. There's been multiple instances. As a matter of fact, I think in Wisconsin, yes, Caroline, in Wisconsin, they just had a voter fraud story over there from folks who were, I think they were stealing the ballots there and using them for their, and I think hiding them, or Melissa Jensen, there's a temporary ban, thank God. Yes, absolutely. Thank God, thank Trump, thank the handful of conservatives that still care, that are trying to fight for this country, and in particular your states. A lot of people you need to find out who your local sheriff is. Mine's basically an illegal loving Democrat. My mayor is a tax increasing Chamber of Commerce crony capitalist, Joe Smith, completely worthless. My state legislature, Carlton Wing, has done a pretty good job overall. My state senator is Jane English. She hasn't done as well. I wish I had a real conservative like Tom Cotton on a local level. Tom Cotton's my U.S. senator, and he was ahead of this in terms of the problems with doing business with the People's Republic of China, and he rightfully called out the Chinese communist regime for being the enemy that it is. For those who don't know, Tom Cotton did serve in our military as special forces, so he does have an overseas perspective. He's been in the U.S. and now he is a U.S. senator, but you don't have to do that to see. Just look through the history of the things that China has done to us and to other people. Of course, they during their Great Leap Forward, they killed, I think, 50 to 70 million of their own people through government farming. During of course, they sent troops in for the Korean War, resulting in the deaths of thousands of our soldiers, thousands of Koreans, thousands of their own people, and thousands of people are still in bondage now because of North Korea to this day because of that. Bill Barr stepped in and helped the Church of Mississippi. Yes, I heard about that. I don't remember if Trump mentioned that or not. That's another thing. I don't know if he did this, but I really wish Trump would mention some of these officials when they do good, and then some of these officials when they do bad. That mayor down there in Mississippi, the one who tried to persecute that church when they were, doing practices that were far better than most grocery stores in terms of their service. People were parking out in the parking lot, listening to the sermon, practicing the best possible social distancing you possibly could, and the mayor went in there, tried to cite people, I think, $500 fines just for parking there. Heck, you could just park there for no rate for something else unrelated to that, and you get a fine. And then somebody tried to put nails in the parking lot to try to puncture out tires, which is stupid, because if you do that, then someone has to get out of their vehicle and operate it and change the tire, which means they're exposing their hands to whatever the tire ran over, which could include the coronavirus. Of course, that's almost as bad as our idiot security guard in front of our abortion clinic, who wore no gloves as people from out of state came in and pushed open the doors. And this is another thing that I wish Trump would do, is I wish he would urge the states to shut down their abortion clinics. Their abortion clinics do not need to be open right now. Of course, it doesn't need to have ever been made in the first place if this were a just nation. Abortion under Roe v. Wade, states have been forced to allow abortions, taking away their 10th Amendment right, not to mention the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. But yeah, several states, not long after this Wuhan flu made its way to the United States of America, the several local governments, particularly in Mississippi, as well as Texas and Louisiana, shut down their clinics, the abortion clinics. Said, nope, you can't have this. They basically did as they said, there's no need for extra medical, non-emergency medical procedures such as, braces or, routine exams, and abortion was basically factored among them. Now, the surrounding states, the states surrounding Arkansas, Texas, and Louisiana, and Mississippi, they shut their clinics down. Our feckless rhino of a governor here tried to pretend to shut the clinics down about 10 days. Let me see, March 21st, it was 7/31. I think it was about 2 weeks after those other surrounding states shut their down. He issued a quote-unquote directive urging the clinic to shut down, and then the clinic just simply ignored him for several days. He then claimed that the Arkansas Health Department was going there to do an investigation, which there's nothing to investigate because these states have already had the authority to shut these places down during the pandemic. We don't know who did an investigation, what they were investigating, and then of course, whatever they then claimed that they were discouraging people from out of state to come into Arkansas for abortions, which when I was there was not happening, and as far as I can tell from the group every20seconds.org, none of that was ever happening. And so this is one thing I wish Trump would do, is use this as an opportunity to shut down the abortion murder mill industry, causing it and getting rid of it as best he can. This is an evil practice that needs to be shut down. Well, one other thing I do wish he would do is not just talk about how all the malaria pills, hydroxychloroquine or whatever it's called, are good, but talk about how we basically don't need a Bill Gates vaccine police state. We don't need it. We know the malaria pills work, and then I've seen on Facebook where a lice drug seems to work. There's been a few of these big vaccine folks that say, no, you got to watch out for the side effects. And at this point, if you're stuck with coronavirus, get yourself some malaria pills, because whatever side effects you have are going to pale in comparison to the coronavirus. And we've seen that, it heals them, and it heals them usually pretty quickly. So that's the kind of stuff that I wish Trump would focus a little more on, but I think he did a great job in terms of putting the press in their place. He did what George W. Bush should have done during Katrina, during his, trying to get people off of Social Security. He should have ignored the Colorado Wilson GOP establishment wing that told him to let the Democrats take the narrative. We were sick of that, and that's why a lot of people support Trump, is because he fights against the media narratives and makes an effort to constantly stay away. That's why he's doing these press conferences every day, because he's got to keep the narrative, especially now, from the cowards in our press who are trying to either create panic or make this as an excuse to blame conservatives, or use this as a way to give China a pass, use this as an excuse to grow the size and scope of government, etc., etc. And Trump is, making sure that narrative doesn't get a chance to escape him and be taken over by the left. Folks, that's pretty much what I was going to comment about. Trump press conferences are basically on Ohio from 5 p.m. Eastern, 4 Central. Somewhere in that time frame when he does these. You can look at them at Breitbart.com. They're usually on other news channels. On Breitbart, you can do Facebook comments, so you can share your comments on there. Of course, feel free to comment on here on this video, whether it's on YouTube, or on my Facebook page. Visit my Fundly page, which I'll post on the end of here, so you can, if you want to donate. Hold on, I gotta. Oh yes, I'm glad you mentioned it. I believe Oklahoma did too. Carolyn Hudson just gave an update. The Ohio abortion clinics are still open, as well as the ones and I haven't heard regarding the ones in Oklahoma. The bottom line is Carolyn, I would suggest you start contacting Ohio officials and say shut it down, or we'll shut it down for you, and start asking which police department's going to adhere to the law. Because what's happening is the state is issuing a directive and the abortion clinic is just simply ignoring it. And you can point out that almost every other type of non-emergency procedure is being halted right now. So I would contact the Ohio mayor of the city where the clinic's at, see if you can contact the state police department, and tell them, because they are threatening lives, not just because they murder the unborn, but going to that clinic increases the risk of coronavirus spreading to other parts of the state and to the nation for that matter. And in particularly my area, abortion clinics are notorious for having lack health standards. And for instance, as I said before, the security guard in in front of the abortion clinic where I'm at didn't even have gloves, and then he pulled down his mask to smoke a cigarette and tap on his phone. So, yeah. That's something that definitely needs to be dealt with. But folks, that's about all I was going to comment about. I'm about home. I'm going to try to replace an air filter on a lawnmower, do some work on some other stuff, try to chat with the lovely Rebecca, and otherwise get ready for a cold day. Oh, I got to I'm going to reload my stove because it's winter here. Tonight's was in the 30s. Well, that's a whole nother thing. So, y'all have a good day.